Welcome to the 2017-2018 school year. Today we're going to be learning about the steps and procedures involved in service learning. The 2017-18 school goals focus on creating optimal learning environments that are supportive of service learning. We're going to increase service learning opportunities for the students to enrich their learning, convert classrooms into workshops for learning, create additional outdoor spaces, and have elective and cycle options for special interests. So focusing today on service learning and how we celebrate these experiences we provide our students. Service learning can help your students become better learners, classmates, and citizens, and can help them make a valuable contribution to their communities. Today, we will review how to organize your projects so that both service experience and student learning achieve the best results. We will review the investigation, planning, and preparation, action, reflection, and demonstration of results and celebration, procedures, and core components of service learning. Woven throughout the phases or components of service learning, you will see ways to ensure that your program meets the standards and indicators for K-12 quality service learning. Research shows that when these standards and indicators are in place, outcomes from service learning are higher. Let's take a quick overview of the quality indicators. Sufficient duration and intensity to meet the needs of the community. The service learning opportunities are linked to curriculum and learning. We establish a community service partnerships. We provide multiple challenging reflection activities. And there is an ongoing process of assessing progress and impact on our community. In step 1, the investigation stage, you and your students work to identify the community problems that will be addressed. In this phase, the teacher and students will identify the community service, whether it's in national, state, or local. Then they will assess community needs, which could be based on media reports, interview, expert presentations. Then select a community that needs what the needs are and tie it to relevance to learning, urgency, importance, student interest, and efficiency. Engage the students in reflection activities and develop a plan to assess student learning. There are many approaches teachers use to work with students to investigate community problems. Often students engage in a community mapping activity. In this type of activity, students actually walk throughout the community using a set of questions to guide their observations. They may note what's going on in the community, looking at the streams. Are they dirty and smelly? Are the sidewalks cracked? Is there litter surrounding our community? Are the community agencies around the school that serve people in need? How can they find these resources? So community mapping activities often lead to selection of issues such as working with the environment, the homeless, senior citizens, hospitals, and other agencies that are in the neighborhood. Another common approach to investigating community problems is to review the newspaper, collect newspapers for about a week or two in advance of the activity, and then distribute them to the students. Have the students identify the various strengths and challenges at the global, national, state, and local level by cutting out these articles in the newspaper and listing them. A third approach that some teachers have used is a sort of brainstorming activity. Students may be asked to whom they would give money to if they had extra money, or which global, national, and state problem they think is the worst and that they might want to help. There are some guiding questions that you would use to engage your student in the investigation process. Answering several questions may help guide you through this process, such as how will you facilitate student choice of the community they want to serve? What activities and resources will you provide to assist in assessing community needs? What civic and other learning goals do you hope to meet with this project? The next step is to list the baseline information to document the problem. The baseline information should be quantifiable so you can revisit and see your impact at the end of the project. Some examples would be, currently, our school has 50 pounds of trash every day and no recycling. Currently, 90% of the students at our school think that bullying is a big problem. Currently, 2 senior citizens in the local independent living center know how to use email. So this data could be collected through various means, especially since through a survey or through research that the students can complete. In step 2, planning and preparation, you and your students and the community members with whom you work with will identify the service problem, determine the specific service that will be provided, develop an action plan, identify the academic or other goals that the project will meet, engage in reflection, and develop an assessment plan. During this phase, the teacher and students will determine the nature of the service to provide, identify academic, civic, and other learning goals, develop an action plan, engage in reflection, and develop and conduct assessment. Students should have considerable voice in this planning and preparation phase, making most of the decision with guidance from adults. The action plan should have a detailed plan for how services will be provided, along with the person's responsible team members, timelines, resources, and indicators of success. As you and your students engage in the planning and preparation process, you may wish to address the following questions. Once you and your students identify the problem, what questions about the problem and possible solutions should they try to answer through their library and internet research? You can do this through a KWL, Know, Want to Learn, process and use graphic organizers to help. You can also ask, what is the specific service to be provided? How does this service relate to the overall purpose of the service learning activity? What content standards and benchmarks will be met as the students plan to provide this service? And what other learning do the students hope to gain from the project, including social skills, career exploration, conflict resolution, and learning about themselves? In step 3, service learning is to implement the actual service activity. During this phase, you want to be sure that the students are engaged, actively exploring, using inquiry, and having hands-on approaches to their learning. They're given opportunities to work with an adult other than a family member or a teacher. They're asked to engage in perspective taking and given the opportunity to see what service is genuinely meeting the community needs. During this phase, the following questions can help you in the service activity phase. How can you adopt, adapt, or create a rubric for the students to use that ensures the service activity they select demonstrates the standards or indicators? How can you ensure that all students benefit from the service activities? How can you ensure that students understand and find mutual benefit with service recipients? How will you address diversity issues? How can you keep students engaged over a period of time? And how can you implement the service learning so that teachers and other adults also find the service to be fulfilling? Okay. In step 4, we'll talk about reflection, but reflection should be woven throughout each of the phases that we discussed today. In the reflection phase that occurs after the service, your goal is to name and solidify the learning. During this phase, reflecting on the service learning experience can encourage your students to connect classroom learning with learning from service, giving both greater meaning, question their assumptions both about the cause and the solutions, improve their problem-solving skills, and develop a greater understanding of themselves and their responsibilities as citizens of a democratic society. Good reflection activities are continuous. They're connected and guided and allow feedback and assessment to help clarify student values. An example reflection checklist is provided here. It gives the students the opportunity to reflect on if they have been trained so that they know how to conduct the service, that they have meaningful roles to play, they've been given guidance, the community partner understands and is on board with all the activities, the students have engaged in troubleshooting conversations, what to do if this occurs, transportation has been arranged if needed, needed materials and supplies have been secured, parent permission forms have been obtained. So for the teacher, they could go through this process and look through this checklist and then work with the students to ensure that these tasks are already accomplished. Okay, John Dewey has a great quote that we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. Through this reflection, we grow. We learn from our mistakes and we learn to think about how we're learning and the process we're going through. In step 5, we look at the demonstration and celebration. This is the final experience when the students, community participants, and other publicly share what they have learned, celebrate the results of the service project, and look ahead to the future. During this phase, here are some guiding questions you can ask to plan on your final event. Who should plan the demonstration and celebration, and what roles and responsibilities will each participant have? It's very important that the students are key players in this planning and preparation. What combination of demonstration and celebration activities would be most meaningful for your students and community partners? What plans for demonstration will best allow your students to meet the academic goals of the project? In what ways could the demonstration be used as a summative assessment? If they are used in this way, who will evaluate students' performance and what criteria will they use? Which options for planning would contribute most to your students' civic and social emotional learning? Which options would contribute most to the community? How will you evaluate the success of the demonstration and celebration events and engage and continue improvement? Our goal with service learning, obviously, there's many, many different things that the students get from it, but we also want to encourage others around them through the celebration activities. Younger students who haven't been involved in service learning can learn and grow as well and become interested in providing more service to their community. I hope this helps, and if anyone needs additional resources, please see me, and it's going to be a great 2017-2018 school year.